All right. How is everybody doing today?
I'm fine.
Good,
How
how are
about
you?
you?
I'm doing good. Guys, you're going to have to forgive me. My throat's a little scratchy from all the screaming I did last night. So,
What were you screaming for?
the 49ers won the championship against the
Oh,
Packers.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me see.
I used to live not too far from you in Lawrence, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And I actually worked in Greenville at the Samsung. I did customer service there. I was there.
Samsung when it was over in Malden, right?
I just know it was in Greenville because I wasn't really familiar with the area at all.
Yeah. It used to be next to the Coca-Cola distributor. And then Samsung moved across the street to the an old grocery store building. Um, but it was actually down the street from my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I seen on the profile. I was like, oh, I was just wondering, like, where does she live? Just to get a sense of how close people are. So,
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Bay Area of California,
okay.
but I've been here in the South, in South Carolina, since 2007. So, all right. Hey, everybody. How are you guys?
Hi, Dr. D.
Hey, hey, hey.
Grand Rising, other ladies.
Hey.
Good morning.
There went my. Hang on.
Good morning, everyone.
All right.
Good morning.
Oops. Come on, charger. I don't want the battery on the laptop to go out because usually when I do Zooms, it chews through my battery. So, all right.
Okay, I have to say something. Go Niners.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yes. Woo! I'm telling you, I'm sipping my tea because I was screaming and yelling so much last night. And guys, your girls had about 2 hours of sleep. So I couldn't sleep after that. Holy moly.
Holy moly.
Great cannolis. Man,
Nothing like waiting until the last minute to win the game, huh?
I'm telling you. But what was priceless was the faces of the Packer fans. They were shocked, kind of like, Dallas.
Yeah. Well, and I was raised in Wisconsin, so I have a torn heart, but I'm still a Niners fan. So,
I was, you know what? I was impressed with the boys being
yes.
California boys. They're not used to that weather.
Oh my God, no. Hothouse flowers in that 0-degree weather. Holy moly.
Yes, yes. And the fact that the Packers have not lost a game at Lambeau Field since 2019.
Oh, has it been that long? Wow.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Enough about football. Thank you for honoring that for a few minutes.
Yes. I know. I had picked out my outfit yesterday. It was definitely not my 49er TO jersey, but that's what
I'm glad you did. Thank you.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today on Spiritual Tea Time. Today, I'm going to take you through part of letter 5. I'm going to tie it back to letter 1. I want us to take a deep breath before we dive in here, because this may trigger some people, but it may also give you freedom. And I get asked a lot, can the Bible be trusted? So that's what we're going to dive in today. We're going to hear it right from Jesus's mouth on if it can be trusted or not, and what he discovered in the 6 weeks desert experience. Like last week, hold all the questions till the end. We do have a question and answer time that we can go through, so write them down. But yeah, so it'll be a lot to go through. All the information is on the slides that are in the Christ letters. So this is stuff, I didn't do it, word for word, because there's a lot in there, but highlighting a lot of what He's trying to make the point. So let's get involved. Let's get going on this. I got to calm down. Sheesh. I've had 3 cups of coffee and now tea. All right.
Hey, gorgeous ladies.
Whew. All right, here we go. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Let me get all set. All right, can you guys see my slides?
Yes.
Perfect. As you guys know, I'm calling this the unchurched church. All right, I'm going to read this again. This is from Jesus. I prophesied when on earth that the time would come when I would return as lightning flashes from east to west across the sky. This was a graphic description of the way in which I am presently working. Perhaps you will accept the lightning has struck worldwide in such a form as to reach those who are eagerly hoping for my return. My truth is intended to uplift and illumine the minds of those who are seeking to awaken people to the many causes of misery and future destruction on the planet. To understand that my intervention by means of your internet was inevitable. All right, the opening prayer. Mighty beloved, I am presence within me and above me. I pour the love of my heart flame to you. I give love, praise, and gratitude unto you for thy own life, light, and love in all things, visible and invisible, evolved and unevolved. Beloved Christ, the one presence in all, divine Mother and Father presence of our universe. We greet you and thank you for the gift of life. Holy Spirit, we welcome your presence, your love, and your protection. I enter this day in God, with God, by God, and for God. I will live this day in God, with God, by God, and for God. And I will end this day in God, with God, by God, and for God. Every day I am gaining more illumination, health, wealth, strength, and love. All right, here we go. The Book of Knowledge of Good and Evil, also known as the Bible. It is the most read book on the planet. That, with the information we're going to go through next, and what I've already talked about, and for those of you who haven't seen my YouTube video on the Matrix, you might want to go watch that. There's some background information on the book or the Bible, Knowledge of Good and Evil, and the Tree of Life. All right, can it be trusted? The New Testament is not to be trusted, accepted, or believed. And those are not my words, those are Jesus's words. But he said it really good. I, the Christ, am writing this letter 5 to clearly define the hidden reality, which I also refer to as the universal and divine, to help you stretch your minds to understand that whilst you are an individual, that which has given you being and individuality is itself universal, eternal, infinite, everywhere, without beginning or end. For the sake of those people who have chosen to read letter 5 before my earlier letters, describing my life and the true teachings on earth, I will make a further statement that my true Jesus Christ self must not in any way be confused with the Jesus recorded in the New Testament. Just take a breath, because I know coming to this reality and seeing this it's refreshing, but it's also not so easy to digest. Since my original teachings in the form of the 4 Gospels have been distributed worldwide and grossly misinterpreted, it is my intention to begin teaching the truth of existence by explaining the true meaning of my original terminology as quoted in the Gospels. This is necessary to dispel and eventually eradicate from people's consciousness the misunderstandings which have persisted, and misinformed generations of spiritual seekers since my life on earth. When on earth, to describe the reality behind and within existence, I deliberately coined the term the Father when referring to God. This was done for two reasons. Firstly, as I explained in letter 1, when I received enlightenment in the desert, I was enabled to see that the concepts describing the creator of the universe as revealed by the Jewish prophets were completely wrong. Secondly, I was given to perceive clearly and fully understand the true nature of the Creator, and I realized that it was a nature of parenting, of fulfilling the needs of creation in clear-cut, specific ways which were synonymous with those of a father-mother. Indeed, I saw that the parenting impulses presented in all living creatures had been drawn directly from the Creator, and that the origin of all love and parenting drives was also the origin of life and existence itself. Guys, what has been missing out of the Bible? The mother's presence. The Bible talks about the Holy Spirit. It talks about it in male form. That's a big error. I also saw that creation was a visible manifestation of the universal creative impulses of being, and therefore humankind could be termed the offspring of the Creator. For this reason, it was quite natural for me to speak of the Father when referring to the Creator, since to me, this is what the Creator truly is in every way, more especially father-mother. But having regard to the Jewish insistence on the woman occupying a subordinate position in their daily lives, I referred only to the Father to avoid Jewish resistance and to gain their acceptance of the new terminology. So guys, that's how the Bible and all of that talks about Jesus referring to the Father. This is why he had to refer to it that way. When we think about what he was up against, the mentality and the beliefs of his time. And I think it was 2 weeks ago in Spiritual Tea Time, we went over a little bit of how Jesus really was growing up. He was rebellious. He had an attitude. He was a know-it-all. And he was a rebel. So, he wasn't this saintly child.
Sounds like me.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true. Because again, Jesus came here, and we'll get into it in these slides, to teach truth, a truth that wasn't here. Because when he was here, it was the Jewish doctrine that is the matrix. It's all man-made. Jesus came to teach consciousness, light, and love. And that's why religion is so against it. All right. I also coined the term the Father to help the Jews realize that their concept of Jehovah and the rigidity of Jewish laws were totally erroneous. Also, by using a new terminology, the Father, to describe the Creator, the creative impulse behind and within existence, I made it clear I had brought an altogether new teaching in opposition to the accepted belief in a God which rejected certain people and sent disasters upon them as retribution. That right there pissed Jesus off. That incited an anger in him. And when he discovered the truth. So just to give you a little history on Jesus's life, you will not find this anywhere in the Bible. From the age of 10 till, he shows up in the desert, you really don't hear what went on. Jesus was taken to the mystery schools, the Himalayan mystery schools, that back in that day, that's where one went to study The tree of life, ascended master teachings, consciousness, all the things that you guys are learning now. When Jesus was here on earth, he was born into a physical body like us. He was not born a king. He was not born half God, half man. That's a myth. That's bullshit, basically. He, just like us, spirit being. Now, here's the difference. Jesus is a king. He has his own galaxy, the Golden Shrine Galaxy. He saw what was going on down here on Earth. Venus being our guardian planet, there was a plan. He came down, took on human body form. Just like everybody else, when we take on these human embodiments, veils get put over us. We forget who we really are. We forget that we are creator, mother, father beings. We're individuals of that creator being. So he essentially learned, he came here, fought through like we're all doing, all of a sudden goes to the mystery schools, learns this teaching, then graduates. He was there for 10 years. Then he graduated, goes out in the desert, has these experiences that we're going to get into, and discovers the truth of existence, the truth of reality. And he comes out of that righteously pissed because he sees what the false teachings are doing to people. And that's what, is still playing out now. So, all right. I want you to understand fully that nowhere has it been made clear in your New Testament that I brought a teaching completely opposed to the teachings in the Old Testament. And therefore, the New Testament, as a true record of my life and teachings, cannot be trusted or accepted or believed. Brace yourself from what is about to come out of my mouth. You're better off believing the story of Peter Pan. That's more real than what we've been taught in the New Testament. A true and accurate record of my personality, enlightened nature, emotional attitudes, and teachings themselves would have made it abundantly clear that the old Judaic forms of religion and my enlightened teachings were diametrically opposed in every way. The Judaic religion was one of extreme materialistic concepts. There are certainly writings from which spiritually enlightened Jews drew and continue to draw a mystical perception of our source of being. They are to be greatly honored and respected for their transcendent states of mind. I want to highlight that before I go on. Because what did we learn in religion? Avoid anything mystical, occultic, metaphysical. Otherwise, you're damned to hell. You're damned to a place that doesn't exist because they made it up. But anyways, so yeah, this is what Jesus came to teach, over 2,000 years ago. We see how that ended. He pissed them off and they crucified him and turned it into a whole freaking doctrine to keep everybody stuck and in fear and doubt and the 5 human habits you hear me talking about all the time. But as the prophets reached the average man and woman, their writings transmitted a different, controlling message, which is purely human and false. No control for good or evil is exercised from a God above. If there were, the world would not be in such a shocking state of upheaval and misery. I brought a new teaching which was directed exclusively at making people aware of universality and love, the indwelling nature, as well as the transcendent nature of that which brought all creation into visible manifestation. It is my purpose to make this abundantly clear to enable seekers of truth to rid themselves of any remnant of belief that I was merely a prophet in a long line of Jewish prophets, that I continued preaching their themes of an almighty Jehovah, possessing ambivalent feelings towards his own creation. Fear of Orthodox Jews kept my disciples in line with what they had decided they would tell the public about me. You must remember that to gain new Jewish adherents to Christianity, they were afraid to discard the Old Testament since it had held the Jews together for centuries. Therefore, they extracted and added on from my teachings whatever was compatible with the old religious beliefs. It's almost like that game of telephone. Do you guys remember that way back in the day? I know I'm a bit ancient, but where they had the can and the string. Somebody says something in the can, and I'm adding a few different metaphors together because I'm Italian. That's what I do. And for us Italians, you pick up the phone, you get some news, and then we used to have this phone tree, like taped on the wall, who to call if something happened. Each person in the family had a set of people they had to call. Imagine it back in the day with those 10 cans and that string. That's how the New Testament was formed. I also talked about a couple of weeks ago about the disciples. They didn't write their stories until 30 years after Jesus left his body. So my genealogy was listed to reassure Jewish people I had descendants. Can't even see my own writing here. Hold on. Descended from King David. Why should they bother with this unless they wanted to make it clear that I was very much a Jew of ancient lineage and therefore could be a candidate for messiahship? If they truly understood that what I had come to earth to do, to break away from the past and lay the foundations for an altogether new future of understanding and activity, they would have made valiant efforts to make certain that people understood the true purposes which drove me to the day of my death. But they did not do this. They obscured much of what I tried to teach. So many myths have arisen around my earthly person and my spiritual consciousness that it is time to be rid of them as completely as possible, since they are preventing people from evolving spiritually. Guys, you know this in your own life. A lot of things that are keeping you stuck, keeping you in judgment, guilt, condemnation, blame, and shame is filtering through those religious veils or the religious hangover of disappointing God, a judging God, offending God, all of those things. What I saw, realized, perceived when I was in the desert. I was lifted into another dimension of consciousness perception, which enabled me to see the truth concerning life and existence. I saw lucidly and clearly what was real and what was false in man's thinking. I realized that this creative power I was experiencing was infinite, eternal, universal, filling all space beyond sky, ocean, earth, and all living things. I saw it was mind power. It was the creative power of mind. There was no point where this divine creative power of mind was not. I realized that human mind was drawn from divine creative mind, but was only a candle lit by the sun. At times, my human sight was so spiritually heightened I could see through rocks, earth, and sand. These now appear to be only a shimmer of tiny motes. I realized that nothing was really solid. I was lifted into another dimension of conscious perception, which enabled me to see when I had moments of doubt that this could be so. The changes in the phenomena stopped taking place, and much later I discovered that my thoughts if strongly imbued with conviction, could affect changes in the shimmer of motes. Shimmer of motes is how Jesus put it, but it's what science presently calls cells, electrically charged particles, and therefore produce changes in the appearance of the rock or whatever I was studying. What I want to highlight here is he made that discovery that what you think is what you think, what you feel is what you're going to make real. And when you doubt, it all stops. You guys hear me talking about this all the time, especially in the readings. Doubt is poison to your manifestation because it stops any momentum forward that you have. It was at this point that I came to realize the powerful effect that conviction of unwavering faith had on the environment when stating a command or even a belief. What was even more startling was my mind opening cosmic consciousness realization that all I had been witnessing was really the creative power of divine mind itself made visible in the shimmer of tiny motes. Not only this, its appearance could be profoundly affected by the activity of human thought. I realized there was nothing solid in the universe. Everything visible was manifesting a different state of consciousness, which determined the composition and form of the shimmer of motes. Translate that to, let's just take the readings from this week, how they've been going. What you think and feel, you make real. What your mind is attentive on, that's what you're going to see. That is that divine creative power. Jesus's reference to the shimmer of motes is what science calls cells. Not only this, its appearance could be profoundly affected by the activity of human thought. I realized that there was nothing solid in the universe. Oh, that's doubled. Therefore, all outer form was an expression of the inner consciousness. Life and consciousness, I realized, were one and the same thing. It was impossible to say this is life and that is consciousness. Consciousness was life, and life was consciousness, and was the creative power of both. Divine universal mind, beyond, within, and behind the universe. Another way of saying that is the law of love, that love is behind everything in the universe, every creative thing. Not only this, its appearance could be profoundly, Wait a minute. Somehow I've doubled my slides. Okay. So a look ahead for next week. Next week, we're going to take this further, and I'm going to go through the divine consciousness, the creative power that Jesus was just referring to. You guys have heard me refer to it as the 9 attributes. They're the same thing, and they are the principal laws of creation. There are 9 different ones. We're going to go into what exactly they are and how they work in our lives. All right. I'm going to stop sharing so we can get to Q&A time. All right. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I do.
I have a
It's
question.
Joan. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I'm Joan. And hello. And I was going to ask, okay, so how, this is probably a really deep question I'm not really clear on. So how does Jesus or Christ speak about God? What is God?
It is the divine consciousness of Mother, Father, light
Okay.
and love. Mind being the light, the heart, which, and the mind is masculine. So that's the masculine portion of God. Mother is the heart, the feeling side of our life, and that is love. So the original design for us in these human bodies, because we are made up of all of that, is to awaken, realize that, and bring that forth in our own individuality. Our own individuality is developed by our ego. That was the original purpose of our ego. It was designed to be our master librarian. What happened because of being on this third dimension, the fall from grace, for those of you who haven't seen my Matrix video on the fall from grace, go check that out. Basically, the fall from grace, angels didn't fight anybody. Nobody, turned on God and backstabbed him and got kicked out of heaven. Great story, just not true. We collectively decided, we got a little bored being these all creator spirit beings, Mother, Father, God, here on earth. We wanted to have a physical experience. The third dimension of earth is the plane of existence. This is where we take on these bodies, and we got bored, you guys. We knew that as soon as we had a thought and a feeling and set that intention, it manifested right then and there. We decided, well, this is a little boring. Let's just try this from the start. So what does that look like? How do we relate that to what we grew up with? Caveman. Think about the caveman time. Yes, there was a purpose. That was right after we gave up our omniscient, our all-knowing perceptions to take on the full human experience of the Matrix and figure it out on our own. So there we are. Fire, fire. Well, that wasn't supposed to last all these years. The plan was when Jesus came, he spoke the message, we got it within a couple of years, and the Great Awakening would happen and all of that. Well, we've got millions of years of being hard-headed, stubborn idiots. And it's the only way to put our humanness. And
Amen.
so that momentum we are up against right now. And when we start to awaken, we are really awakening to all of these spiritual truths that are in our DNA. It's in our cells. And as we awaken, we realize, and this is the hard part, holy crap, we've been lied to. Everything has been a lie. And then we try to filter everything through that same lie. So we stay on that hamster wheel.
So when you said the ego was supposed to be our divine librarian, and then we decided we could take over, did that mean that the ego then grew or started to take over? Because that's what's not clear, is if it was supposed to be just our librarian, how did we end up like this?
Well, here we go, Joan. Let me break it down for you guys.
Amen, girl.
I love this question. Okay. So now that we know what our ego was supposed to be. So from 0 to 7, our brain was in theta state. That is constant record. Now, that was fine if we didn't give up our all-knowingness. So that was the design. We were to come into these bodies, take everything in through our senses, our divine senses, not our human senses. This is where shit went wrong. We, in these human bodies, 0 to 6, we're like a clean slate. You guys have heard me use the metaphor Johnny 5 from Short Circuit, that robot who just the lightning comes to life, need more input. That was us, 0 to 7. We took in everything from our sight, hearing, smelling, and touch. Guys, I don't care how amazing your childhood was. We all grew up in the Matrix. We all learned shit. And so there's a lot of trauma there. It doesn't matter if you weren't beat. Happy if you weren't beat or had trauma or any of that. That is awesome. My point is, we all have some sort of emotional trauma and baggage based on what we took in at those ages. Being young, watching our parents fight, watching the news, all of those things, we took it in. The ego took that in and filed that away. There's energy behind everything. We were little, let's say we were curious, we go to put our hand on a hot stove. We're just trying to see what's going to happen. An adult comes by, yells at us, "What are you doing?" And the next thing you know, we're like, ah! We're crying. We're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm stupid, blah, blah, blah." Now, the adult did that out of their own fear that you're going to get hurt. They've got their own dialogue going on, but here's that projection. Boom. Now you took that on. Now you're sitting there in the corner crying. "I can't get anything right. What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah." It just grows. That moment right there, when we take on those projections, altered ego is created. So now, ego that's supposed to just be a library has now become altered ego. Altered ego is that's where the projection, the limiting beliefs come from. That is the place of all that energy of judgment, guilt, shame, blame, and condemnation. That's why altered ego cannot ever, 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 ever come at you with love, peace, support. It cannot. This is how you know when altered ego is acting out, because it comes from fear, doubt, and anxiousness. So on the awakening, we learn, and that's why I tell you guys, I'm not trying to teach you to get rid of ego. We're not trying to destroy ego. We are trying to love altered ego back into its original design of ego being the master librarian. Because as we awaken, there are many different spiritual paths. But if you guys are here and you resonate with my energy and what I teach and all of this, then you resonate with this spirituality side of it, of the ascension. The ascension of rising up out of our human form back into Christ consciousness, divine consciousness, knowing who we are, what we're here to do, which then takes us to our resurrection. So our ego has a divine purpose. It was just kind of supposed to be like a library. However, this whole time in embodiment, we've been going through life with our human senses. So we have those human senses I've talked about. We also have a multi-body system, and we have spiritual senses. Spiritual senses are all about conception, not perception. Human senses are about perception. My tea. Oh, the cup is hot. I'm perceiving it to be hot versus cold. Those type of things. Did that answer your question, Joan?
Oh, absolutely. Makes total sense. It's sort of like having lots of junk in your house that you really don't need, and you just keep adding more and you have no idea why. Just keep piling it up higher and higher.
Yeah, and that fear of letting it go.
Yeah.
I might need it someday. No. And that's Jesus's point. And I know it can be shocking to the system, but his point was the sooner you can drop all of that belief, that nonsense, the sooner you can open up to your true divinity and the truths and be able to move through this process easier. It's not an easy process. And just to relate this back to the Bible, it was quoted in the New Testament, Jesus saying that the path is narrow and few will find it. It's easier to go through the eye of a needle, or a camel to go through the eye of a needle. He was talking about the awakening process. It has nothing to do with hell. As a matter of fact, you guys can look this up yourself, but the Pope came out a few years ago and said that hell was created. They made it up. It doesn't exist.
Wowee.
Yeah, the Vatican, if you do your research, you guys will start to see the truths are starting to come out of the Vatican, of all the lies and everything that has been hidden from the people. The root word of religion is Latin. It's religio, and it means to hold into bondage. Well, damn, they succeeded. They've been running that program really well. Mika, you had a question?
I was just going to ask, where did you get your information, like the readings and the scripts that you just was reading? Where did you get that from?
This is from the letters. So the Christ letters, you can get it free on YouTube. There's also PDF you can download free, or I purchased the book off of Amazon, but there are free ways to get it. And this is Jesus's words for this time, because he was not able to get his message across any other way. And in full disclosure, for those of you who don't know my background, I have a doctorate in divinity. I was a Christian Pentecostal pastor for many years. I do hold a doctorate or a PhD in metaphysics. I am also part of the Radiant Rose Academy, which is the only mystery school teachings here on earth now. The mystery schools closed down many, 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 many years ago. It was out of the mystery school, some of the students who either chose to leave or were kicked out, that the sinister force preyed upon them and took part of their knowledge, what they learned, and then used that. They didn't have the full knowledge, so they only had part of it. So they created a lot of black magic. It's where black magic comes from, and the psychic force. The fourth dimension is the psychic plane. And that's where a lot of that darker energy is. Any other questions?
So what about people that feel like I feel like I came here already knowing this information. Like it's not far-fetched for me. Like it resonates more than anything. And I spent a lot of my time like going like different religions, different churches, trying to argue my case that we are God, you know what, like this is wrong. And I've been put out of so many churches. And I mean, even as a child, you know, but I came knowing this, you know, so I'm very uncomfortable with people with how they try to force this religion and stuff on people. And it's not true. None of it feels healthy for you to even think, you know what I mean? Like, so you created me just to see if I'm gonna do right or wrong, to burn me up or let me. None of that never felt right to me. And it gave me a lot of problems in my life, you know, even like, I think we're all God, you know, so.
And you're right. Yeah. And you are absolutely right. And here's the thing, guys, let me break this down a little bit further. So those of us 50, you know, in our 50s and above, we came in with more of the religious veils. The people in embodiment, more like 40 and under, don't have as many veils this time around, because you guys have already reincarnated and have worked through this. So 30, 20s, and the kids that are now coming in, they don't have any of this religious hangover crap. They've already cleared all that. You guys are now coming in to help spread this message, because as each one of us awakens to this truth, we hold the light for this planet and for everybody else awakening. And there are more and more waves of people awakening. So yes, Mika, you are right. You didn't have those many veils because in previous lifetimes, you went through all that. And I could totally relate to your story about churches. My girls here who have been following me for a while know my epic departure of the Christian church. I lost my shit and I threw the pulpit.
Good.
So, yeah. So I get it. So I get it.
I bet they think you're crazy now, right?
Oh, they thought I was crazy then. Yeah.
What about when Jesus did it though? They forget about that part. Jesus did the same exact thing, and you probably did it for the same exact reason Jesus did it. So
he did. Yeah. And you know, I did that in 2005.
Is
2000,
it a YouTube video?
2004, 2005. I had no idea it was going to happen. I was just sitting in the front row and anyways, I got up, my turn to speak, and well,
Say
I
what you
opened
need
my
to
mouth
say.
and something took over, and well, next thing you know, I threw the pulpit, called it all bullshit, and walked out.
It is bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like they're harnessing our energy to keep you in a state of fear. And then it's just like they keep you in doubt about your own self. Like my guidance system is letting me know if I want to do this or not. Why should I have to consult with you? Or, like, why are you trying to take everything that's in me away from me and make me rely on you when you're not even stable? You don't even know what direction you're going in. You don't even have all these answers. So how can you forcefully try to make me, it's not comfortable at all. So I just learned to just stay to myself because it's just not comfortable out here.
No, it's not. And we can see this playing out in the world today because this religious hangover, the matrix, it's all based on the book of knowledge of good and evil, which is the Bible. And so governments are run on it, education, all of it to keep the masses quiet because they know this is the true power. And when the people wake up to this, though they're going to be exposed. This is what's happening. They are being exposed. They are being taken down. So we're seeing the battles playing out. They're not going to win. Will it get uglier? And, there's going to be things coming across that are going to shock people's mind. They're going to be blown away at the ugliness that has been going on right in front of them. But this is why now these are coming forth. And we're all being raised up and guided to whatever spiritual path we desire. There is no right or wrong in that. So if you're drawn to, earth herbs or, magic or angels or whatever, guys, that is perfectly okay. It's not just a one thing.
Right.
And there's no right or wrong. And the truth behind all of it, spirituality is sacred. Religion is the counterfeit. It's the opposite. Religion, you got to go out and save people and share and blah, blah, blah. Spirituality is sacred. You're not supposed to go out and tell people or share your beliefs because then you're stepping on their free will and you're basically judging and saying, well, you got to do it my way. No, we are all creator beings. We are made with the same stuff that Jesus was, Buddha, Muhammad, they all taught the same message. They all stepped into Christ's consciousness. So the Christ is not a person, it's a consciousness. And that's what we're striving for. But we have to dismantle and get rid of all the previous beliefs before we can even assimilate the new. And that's where the battle comes.
Sure. Well, and Dr. Danae, it reminds me of when you talked about, throwing the pulpit and had no idea you were going to, yeah. Panache Desai calls it authenticity Tourette's. He said, you're going to you want me to say the truth, it's just going to come out. So you might not want to ask me,
Yes. And I love that. I mean, I kind of need a shirt that says that.
Yeah, it's like when he said that, it was so powerful because it made you realize that who you authentically are is meant to come forth, not be stuffed, swallowed, hidden. Because I got that too, Mika, and when I was in Sunday school as a kid, I was under 10 and I got in trouble in Sunday school questioning, well, who is God? What do you mean? I don't get that. It didn't resonate for me who this God person, what person was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Because just to give you all a little laugh. Yes, not only did they say I was crazy, they tried to lock me up in a mental institute. It didn't work. They wouldn't keep me.
Right.
I have been called crazy my whole life. I'm very, I learned to kind of shrink and shut myself down and not speak because every time I would open my mouth, there was a lot of backlash. But now it's been a process for me. And that's what I want to stress for you guys. I know the frustration and the loneliness and all of that that we go through, but keep pushing through, you guys, because when you really get this and you assimilate it, there is such power and freedom and love. And it's not an egotistical power, freedom of love. It is so humbling, and it's life changing. I mean, my life today is so different. And I just now laugh. Oh, you want to call me crazy? Yeah, where's the crown? Let me put the crown on. Yep, that's me. Whatever. I shrunk and hid from this message for a long time. This has been on my heart. Even when I was in Christianity, preparing my sermons, I'm going, this is bullshit. And being up there, I'm going, oh my God, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I lost my mind. But that deep knowing, that's what Jesus talked about in his letters. Having that unwavering faith, no matter what, no matter who you're standing in front of, because the masses are coming at us saying we're crazy, we're stupid, we're, trying to silence us. Because this is where love is, this is where the freedom is. And they can't stop it. They cannot stop this love movement coming through.
Now, how many people that thought you was crazy now talk to you and want to see it from your side, or
I don't talk
awake?
to anybody from my past.
You said nobody? Because my family, and I guess it would be because we are family, like everybody that thought I was crazy, now they want to know you. And it doesn't bother me, but I just be looking like, God dang, I was trying to tell you this 30 damn years ago. Why wouldn't you listen then? So
yeah. And that, Jesus got very frustrated with that and why, people not listening. He talks about his time coming out of the desert, how excited he was to share this message. Like, we all feel that. The reason, I don't talk to anybody from my past. Well, actually, I do still keep in contact with my dearest friend, but we didn't talk for many years when I fully came out with this, because she is still very steeped in Christianity and feels, anyways, we know how that goes. We talk a little bit, but parents, my dad passed away in 2017, my stepmom, no. So, but yeah, most of actually all the people that I had contact with back then, they don't want anything to do with me. I had one a few months ago, apparently had been watching my lives and then came at me, was very upset because I didn't mention Jesus in the way Christianity talks about Jesus, and was telling me I'm going to hell. So I don't deal with that energy anymore. And Jesus talked about this, and this really helped give me peace, because I still had some of that residual of, well, gosh, I just got to love them and, just take it. No, Jesus says, not everybody's going to hear this message. That's okay. Just in love, keep walking. So I have no animosity towards anybody, but I'm at my point of, nobody's going to stop me. They're not going to stop this message for coming out. And if I sense that energy, you're blocked. It's just in love. You're just blocked because I don't have time for that. I'm on a mission. So, and that's just for me, that's kind of how it's played out. So for everybody, it'll be different. The main part is we're not going to reach everybody, and not everybody's going to be able to hear our message, and they're not going to want to, and that's okay.
Danae, I have a question.
Yes.
When you were talking about Jesus when he was young, 10 years old, why? I know he goes into detail about the desert experience, and he goes into detail about what an unruly child he was, and all that stuff. But why doesn't, or does he talk about that mystery schools somewhere that I've missed? Because I'm not seeing anything in the letters that I've read about that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't talk a lot about it because they were closed down. And his letters, the person that his messenger, so to speak, took his messenger 40 years to clear his consciousness of all of that stuff, to be able to be that clear vessel to bring this through. Jesus didn't want the mystery schools to be the focus because they were closed down so long ago. And now, as I said, there are the mystery school teachings right now. The only group currently teaching them is the Radiant Rose Academy. That is where you'll hear them talk literally about the masters come through, Jesus comes through there, Mother Mary, all of them. They give you different insights into the stories. Mother Mary has explained her side of it. Like, she didn't know any of this. The principal of the mystery school during Jesus's time was Lord Maitreya. Lord Maitreya came to Joseph and Mary one day and said, okay, it's time for Jesus to come with me for his trainings. So, yeah.
Okay, so he went away. He went away for a long period of time and then came back.
Yeah. So he went away from 10. He went away at 10 years old. Then he got his education. He came back. And then he did go back to the mystery schools for a little while as well. Because in the mystery schools, you learn all of this knowledge. And remember, it's really remembering it. Like Mika said, she feels like she knows it. We all do. That's why when we know truth, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Then he came back. He talks about after being in the desert, coming back, being dirty and scraggly, and knocks on the door. His sister screams, doesn't recognize him, goes and gets Mother Mary. She comes and she's looking at him, brings him in the house, kind of cleans him up. She could tell he's different, but she did not openly receive his message. And it became a bit of an argument. This time, Jesus didn't rebel like he used to. He gave Mother Mary hell. He did. She took him to the Jews to, okay, here's the Messiah, blah, blah. And Jesus just opened his mouth and he got kicked out. Mother Mary's like, oh my God, you're embarrassing me. So he knew, that was a point of hurt and contention for him, that his own family didn't receive his message.
And that was when he was young.
That was after he came back from the desert.
Well, did he have this knowledge before he went into the desert, but it really didn't, it was just what he'd learned, but not what he really felt? I mean, not really awakened to it until he went into the desert?
Yes. So Jesus always knew something wasn't right with what the Jews were preaching and teaching. That was always his, like we all have. I think all of us on this call always knew something. So that was his mentality. Then he goes to the mystery schools to learn all this. Now, he was still at that point. He comes out of the mystery schools going, yeah, I really am Messiah. I know my shit. You can't tell me nothing. So he knew this. So he had this attitude. It was when he went into the desert, he was humbled.
Okay.
He saw truth. And this is what he saw that really so in other words, the desert was the time that he actualized the teachings. You hear me tell you guys all the time, don't beat up on yourself. We know this intellectually. It takes a while for us to actualize it. Jesus did that 6 weeks in the desert where he faced what he calls Satan or the devil, which is actually the human ego. He faced his own human ego and he faced the world human ego and saw truth. Then he comes back out of the desert, pumped, all excited, like, oh my gosh, I've got the answers to help the people, because Jesus always had a heart for the people and the suffering. He always, even before going to the mystery school, was like, why would God let people be hungry and suffer and be sick? I mean, that really irked his squidlings. He didn't like that. So, so that 6-week desert experience, relating it to what I teach, if you guys do your cocoon time and really discipline yourself and cut off the outside world and all those people, that's your 6-week desert time. But the human ego doesn't, it's a battle to get to that point. You guys know.
Yeah.
But that's what that process is. That is the metamorphosis.
I'm having trouble also understanding, okay, there's no hell, there's no Satan, but there are dark forces, like you were talking about, in the fourth dimension they live. And how do we, I'm trying to figure out what is not true, what is really true. When I think, say, dark forces are trying to attack, or somebody's trying to put a dark magic spell, or, is all that real? Can that really happen?
So, yes, it can happen if you put your attention on it and if you believe it. Right. Because, like Jesus said, the power of the mind, what you feel, you will make real. So let me just talk about the dark forces just a little bit. Because, so as I mentioned, the fourth dimension is that psychic plane. There are people who operate in that realm. That is real. However, it isn't truth. It's not made to last. It technically is an illusion. Now, the dark magicians and the sinister force, they are not on the surface of the planet. They're literally held, for lack of a better term, in like a container. I don't know how else to explain it. Archangel Michael has cleared them out in preparation for the 7th golden age. So then what is it? Why is it still acting out? It's human thoughts. It's human consciousness. It's what you're seeing in the movies, the zombie movies, the horror movies, the wars. All of that is that psychic plane. That is the human ego consciousness coming from human ego desires and lower vibrations. So Jesus knew that, but to be able to relate it to the people back then, that's why he called it Satan. So those of us awakening now, and when you awaken, there's a battle of trying to, awaken and all of this. As you follow on this path and you drop these beliefs, bring in more light, work with the sacred fire, those forces can't touch you unless you put your attention on it. And putting your attention on it is talking about it, thinking about it, going, if something bad happens, oh, is there a spell on me? Did somebody curse me? In other words, you have more power in your pinky of love than the sinister force has to take anybody out.
Okay, good.
So yes, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of you found me in the healers group. You guys have probably seen me do the little announcements of do not engage with anybody who comes in the comments and says, I'll do a reading for you, or I see dark energy around you, or your ancestors have something to tell you, that is all fourth dimension psychic shit. Can it attach to you? Yes, it can if you allow it. So if you keep your attention off of it and your vibration higher, because again, everything is vibration. So calling in your tube of light every day. For those of you who have come out of Christianity, your tube of light is like your armor, the armor of God. What was it? The helmet of salvation, all of that. The tube of light. Hold on a minute.
I gotta write this down. I haven't heard of that.
So the visual. This is us here in human form. Above us is our I am presence that is still above us. We're only 10% in our bodies. So these light rays, what's behind here, that purple, that's the sacred fire, the violet flame. This tube, this container around us, that is the tube of light, tube of white light. Like I said, for Christianity, it's the armor of God. Outside of your tube of light, you can call in Archangel Michael to bring in, I don't know if you guys can see, on the side there's blue flames on the tube of light right here. So those blue flames are Archangel Michael's cosmic blue flames of protection. So instead of the armor of God, we call in the tube of light and Archangel Michael to send his blue cosmic rays of protection.
That's interesting. Because I used to always do that armor of God.
Mm-hmm.
But now what we're supposed to do instead of that is what you just said.
The tube of light. Tube of light and Archangel Michael's cosmic blue flames. I will email you guys, when I email this video to you, I will email you how to call in, like what I use to call in the tube of light and all of that. I'll send that if you guys want to.
Can't you just set the intent?
You can. If you want to power it up, then, and as a matter of fact, the decree that the decree that I'm going to share with you guys, decrees are intense. They're just powered.
It's so amazing how the matrix, like you said, us older people, is so many details that involves in your, like the armor of protection that you don't even think about until it comes up. And it's like, oh yeah, that was a lie too. Another veil comes up.
Yeah. And, the Matrix plan was planned out very well. They're very detail oriented. Anybody else have another question? Okay.
I guess it's more of a comment, although it certainly can evolve into a question, is that it reminds me of all the human constructs that we have come up with, financial constructs, health constructs, drugs concepts, constructs. And I'm calling them constructs because they're all made up. And so it's like, what's real and what isn't? Where's the lie and where's the truth? That's the part that's finally going, whoa, baby. And having dealt with a diagnosis twice of cancer, breast cancer, more and more, even though I was already awakened in those areas, more and more came through that. I'm like, oh, that's not true. Oh, that's not true. Why am I believing that? Yeah.
It's amazing how many beliefs we have when we don't even realize it.
Right.
The belief is just a thought we keep thinking and
thinking
ourselves it's a belief. But yeah. So
and there's plenty of sources out there that reaffirm that belief. Or like you, where you got ostracized or pushed out, we don't want that and it feels awful. So then we conform or tolerate or become. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, there are so many human constructs and beliefs, and it, it's worked for so long. And how do you know truth? Because when you hear it, the cells of your body just spring open. That's how you know. I mean, and going back to Mika's original question, where am I getting my information from? When truth is presented, it's we there's different spiritual groups, but we're all saying the same thing. Each spiritual group has a different piece of the puzzle. So it's not like one's better or one's right or one's wrong. It's just whatever you relate to and you feel internally what is truth. But it's amazing that so many of us from around the world can talk about the same things, different words, but it's the same thing, and we don't need a book. That is just amazing. But when you hear spiritual truth, your cells, your body reacts, because your body is your earth suit. It is designed to help you through this physical embodiment. Everything you need to know is in your cells. And when you start changing your beliefs, things start acting out in your body. It's okay. Just don't attach to it, because that's the cellular release of all that toxic belief you already had.
I cannot believe you just said that about like your cells reacting, because I was just, as I was sitting here listening, I could feel that like in my stomach, like it's hard to explain, but just like a good feeling.
Yeah. And that's how our body is designed. It's just we were taught different, especially with religion. That gut feeling of, oh, am I doing the right thing? Blah, blah, blah. Guys, your solar plexus, that gut feeling, just so you know, that attaches energetically to the human energy, the human consciousness of other people. So when that gut feeling comes up and now you're kind of confused, am I doing the right thing? Am I not? Ego has gotten involved, or altered ego is now involved. And it's trying to get you confused and into anxiety and all of that. Because the truth, when you're in truth and in the universal laws of love, it's heart to heart connection, not solar plexus to solar plexus. So I'm sorry, what? I was going to say, let's say you meet somebody, and it's an instant attraction. You get butterflies in your stomach. That is not a divine connection.
Wow.
Butterflies in your stomach, that is altered ego going, hey, yes, come my way, baby, because we're just going to stay stuck. This is going to hurt. And but we interpret it wrong. All those different things that, is this God trying to talk to me? God will talk to you from your heart.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the energetic ties with other people are solar plexus to solar plexus. You want to break those and move it heart to heart.
But when somebody, I have always had this thing, and it feels like it is in my solar plexus. If somebody is not a good person and you have those bad vibes or good vibes, like you just said, they come in and it's like, oh, it's always, it's like, I don't want to know this person. And it's always been like in my solar plexus that I feel that. So
I
does
feel
that
it too.
mean it's not real, or?
No, actually, it does mean it's real. And that's kind of to the point I was just talking about. because that is your solar plexus is picking up on the vibration of that person's human consciousness. And that is a warning, because when you meet a true soulmate or somebody that resonates, you don't get the stuff in your solar plexus. It's like it's a knowing from the heart.
Ah, okay.
So it's learning. This is now about learning how to interpret your body's signals correctly.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of work to do.
We all do. We are infinite beings in an infinite universe. Guys, there is no, finish line.
Right.
Right.
And I think just saying stuff like that, I have a lot of work to do, makes it harder for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, you're
because
right,
it feels
you're
like
right.
you're catching up to something that you're not lacking because you came with all this stuff,
Yeah.
So basically just sit back and take the ride and enjoy the remembrance of what is for you is going to resonate for you, like that feeling you was talking about. Like, I say that when I get a vibe about somebody that's not too good. I don't think that they're a good or bad person. I just think that, okay, we're not going to be compatible for
It's
like,
energy. Yeah.
right.
That's why you'll hear me say, trust your gut. That's what I'm talking about when you get those vibes. Now, if you get the vibes, let's say in a romantic sense, you meet somebody and your solar plexus has those butterflies and you're like all giddy. Ooh, hold up, stop. Take a few step back and just go, wait a minute. My body's trying to tell me something. But yes, and the expectation our humanness will put on us, it's like we're always striving for a finish line that keeps
Right.
pushed back because we're infinite. Guys, once we learn all of this and evolve, guess what? There's more planets, there's more worlds. It never ends. So the sooner we can drop that expectation of, well, one day I'm just going to have it all together. No, you're not. Don't gaslight to yourself. You're not. You will
I
have
did that.
illumination, but there will always be something more to learn. We will always individually be students and teachers. It's the design.
I dropped that thought. I dropped that belief of, oh, I got to get it done. Because now it's like you're chasing the wind. You know what I'm saying? Like now you're on this timeline. And what the hell where the hell did it come from? You know what I'm saying? Like
time is a human construct.
There's another human construct.
Yep,
Yes.
time. And
so when I dropped the feeling of, when I finally accepted that we're never going to get it done and we never get it right or this, that, and the other, I lost 100 pounds instantly. I mean,
Wow.
Mentally, like you could really feel the weight coming off of you, like instantly lost about 100 pounds, I believe. In my mind, just all that heaviness in my mind of feeling like, I didn't get enough done today. That's just fuckery, man. Like that is just a constant, like it keeps your vibration so low and so now you're sketchy and you're moving faster than you're thinking. You know what I mean? So you're making mistakes and stuff. Like, just relax.
That's altered ego. And guys, as you progress on the awakening path, like Mika's saying, you step out of the time matrix and you realize that's an illusion. And outside of time and space takes a little bit of getting used to. But then you move into the flow. And, everything is a flow. Just like, these Christ letters, read a page or two, listen to a page or two, then put it down, let it absorb, meditate. If you guys aren't meditating, you're missing out a huge part of your awakening, because meditation is where you're going to tap into soul, where you're going to get those downloads. And you will move outside of time and space. You'll stop fighting. You'll finally take off that sandpaper bathing suit that you're swimming upstream. You're not a salmon. Stop acting like one. Just turn around and go with the flow.
So I have a question about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
My current situation. So I'm housed with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I turn my meditation, music and stuff like that. I listen to like a lot of shamanic stuff. and I'll leave it playing at nighttime. It's kind of hard, around here to get a lot of peace. Like, does that help as much?
It helps 100%. It helps because it's getting into your cells in your consciousness. And for your situation in particular, if you can, when you're in the shower, on the toilet, in your
Yes, that's what I do.
that type, do
Headphones.
whatever you can. Obviously, driving, please do not put on a meditation that's going to take you out. But in the shower or wherever you can get that little bit of sacred time and space, even guys, your silent meditation of connecting to your soul doesn't need to be 10-15 minutes. Start out, let it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever you have. Build that momentum. Even if it's you need to go into the closet or into the bathroom and just close the door for 30 seconds and just say, "Beloved, I am. I have 30 seconds. I just want to connect to you." And then be silent and put your focus on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. The goal here is breaking the chains in the link of not meditating. And so just inch by inch.
And releasing guilt. I mean, I think that's the thing. Oh, I ought to be meditating. Oh, but it's supposed to be this way. Oh, but I'm supposed to have no chatter. I think that's the part that I had to work on for myself, is like, okay, the ego's like talking a mile a minute. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, I did not like to meditate at first because monkey mind was all
all over the place. Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is what I've started to notice is that many spiritual groups have become religious groups. And I don't mean like Christ or Muslim or, the Jewish teachings. I'm talking about they have put structure in place. You have to do this, then you have to do this, and then you will ascend or you will be awakened. I think that's the part finally I connected with, is that many of those we have to be cautious with as well. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And Jesus talks about that.
Oh, which letter does he? Oh, he talks about that in his letters?
I'll research to see if it's in the letters because I'm a student of the academy.
True. I didn't mean to question where it came from. I just wondered if it was.
Remember.
Yeah.
And it's come through so many times. It's probably on our YouTube channel. Guys, we have a free YouTube channel of the Tree of Life teachings. Every Friday, a different master does a broadcast. So you can find all this information. But no, he absolutely does talk about that. And that's why he has chosen, there are so many different groups and people who say Jesus is here and re-embodied, or Mother Mary is re-embodied on earth and they're doing this and doing that. They're not back on physical bodies. They are still ascended. But where was I going with that? So yes, they have addressed that so many spiritual groups now, under the guise of New Age spirituality, it's just another religion and it's ego based because it's more of the human constructs. Ascended masters are guides for us. An ascended master, the majority of them, there are a handful that did not take on physical embodiments, but the majority of them have walked this path. They've been in human bodies. They have gone through what we're walking through. There are 33 passages of resurrection, so 33 levels to go through. Isn't that ironic? Jesus left at 33. It's all, it all coincides. But so those of us on this path, we're not ascended, but once you reach certain levels, then you do become, you're considered a master. And then at 33, that you graduate, that's the resurrection level. And again, guys, I'm talking consciousness. There's not going to be another, none of us are going to be hung on the tree or on the cross and none of that crap.
I think that's what the problem is.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot of people,
happening.
a lot of people feel like once you reach a certain level, or if you study this, like I do herbs and things like that, you know, about Dr. Sebi and things like that. People, it seems like people kill them type of people off, or like people feel like if you reach a certain level, then there's nowhere else to go. So now I have to die, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's what holds a lot of people back too.
Yeah, and the fear of death, which, guys, that's a human construct itself. There is no death. We transition. The only death, if we want to stick to that, is the physical body. We lose the physical body. We wear it out.
Yeah, and we didn't come with it though. So why did we grab this concept that you know, this body is the end all be all? Like, why did we lose what happened before we was this body?
Yeah.
So
People in fear.
But do you think part of it is what your loved ones go through? To them, it is, they're gone, they'll never be back. You know what I mean?
But that's actually not true, because once they leave their body, they
Right.
go back into all remembrance.
Yeah. I mean, it's just sort of,
It's the human belief of what death
Yeah.
is and what religion says it is. I mean, come on. Oh, somebody died. Let's, mourn and, have a service because they died. What really should be happening is we should be celebrating. They got their freedom. Yes, it's painful. It hurts to not have somebody physically next to you. But once we realize that that's a false illusion, that just because they're not in their physical body, they're gone from us.
Well, and I think it goes back to that attachment. We are so attached to the physical, whether it's a person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
And when it's gone, we somehow think we lost it.
because we can't see it. We can't
Just can't
feel
see it. Because our human senses can't pick it up. Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what? It all goes back to what root? The root is separation, the fall from grace. And that's the biggest lie, because we have never been separate from Mother, Father, God, or divine consciousness. So, guys, it is almost 11. Thank you so much. I know our time flies so fast. This is the highlight of my week, getting to spend time with you guys and having these conversations.
Thank you.
It is
We
for
love
me
it.
too. It is for me too, as my husband and puppy are sound asleep and I'm getting up and going, okay, getting on.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Because that's much earlier here. Yes.
Yes, it is. I want to just take a moment and honor each and every one of you, because like Joan, I know it's 6 something over there now.
6:30 when I come on. Yes.
Yeah, 6:30.
Mhm.
And Joan was sharp. Joan looked beautiful this morning.
Oh,
She was
bless
dressed.
you. Thank you.
Guys, I just want to say I honor each and every one of you. It is, I'm going to cry. It's such an,
Aw.
Aw.
told myself I wasn't going to cry. Here we go. It's just an honor to be able to have this space and this community of like-minded and like-hearted souls, because we've all been through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And we're coming back into remembrance. We are remembering our soul family. We all know each other from way back when.
Mhm.
Now we're all coming back together because we have a mission, we have a purpose.
And you can
Oh.
feel that.
Right.
What? For sure.
Yes.
Whew. All right, because I'm just going to cry. I'm going to play the rose one more time.
Oh no.
Oh, it's not going to be just one more time.
Sorry if you guys can hear Cody losing his beat downstairs. He's just.
Janae,
We love Cody.
Cody.
yes.
Cody.
Janae,
Something else.
I sent my number to you in the email, right?
Oh yeah.
I have something that I really need to talk to you about. If you could give me like 5 minutes of your time,
Okay, hon.
maybe. Okay.
Okay, now the song.
Some say love It is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
I love you, Mama. All right. In the presence of the Christ, I bless each and every one of you with health, wealth, grace, and an abundance of love. Oh boy, now this is really going to make me cry. All right, back. Guys, if you missed my other tea times where I talked about those songs, those are both the rose is describing Mother God, Mother Akasha. She is known as the rose. And the greatest love of all is about you discovering your soul and falling in love with that soul. So they're very, very powerful. Listen to them with that new understanding on your awakening journey and let them get into that cellular level and help you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, I love you. And this time I recorded this. So you guys, once it's ready and rendered, I will email it out to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Good day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sherry.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.